Hello, everyone. I am Corey Andrew Powell, and I am very thrilled today to be joined by Darlene Santor. That's not Santore. People always put that E on there, I know. But she's better known as Coach Dar, a licensed board certified occupational therapist and former Phoenix Suns mental skills coach, plus a leadership and mental edge coach to professional athletes, CEOs, and business leaders around the world. She's got a new, highly anticipated first book out now called The Art of Bouncing Back. Find your flow to thrive at work and in life anytime you're off your game. Coach Dar, welcome to Motivational Mondays.
Thank you so much. The name alone motivates me. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, we want people to know, like, immediately when you come to this podcast, that you're going to be getting something that can last you not just on Monday, but every day of the week. So thank you. We appreciate that. But back to you, though. You have an amazing story. And as I mentioned, your new book is out.
Yeah.
And of course, it's to me clear that you are walking the walk,
Yes.
which is what makes you an authority on telling people that they can get beyond adversity and hardships.
Yeah.
A little bit of background, I believe, for you is that you suffered a stroke at 20 or in your 20s,
Yeah,
was it?
25. Yes.
25.
Yeah.
Now, was that part of a pre-existing situation, or did you just out of nowhere have this happen?
One of those really just freak things that happen. I had gone to see a chiropractor, and when they manipulated my neck, they ripped the vertebral artery to my brain. And I did not know that I was bleeding at the time in the brain until probably wasn't until days after. And the irony of this is I was an occupational therapist on a stroke and brain injury unit treating patients. And then I went through having a stroke myself. I thought, whoa, how is this happening? But, and I wish I could say too, that was the only one, but I've had 3 total. And so I've
I did
really
read,
had to
yeah,
bounce back from a lot of things.
3 strokes, and that one being when you're 25, and also the irony of of it
Yes.
being done
Yeah.
from a healthcare provider,
Right.
which is even more like,
Right.
and I don't want to bash,
No.
chiropractic, but I've heard over my life people say,
Yes.
be careful going to chiropractors, and you are a living example of why.
It's just, like anything, you can go for surgery. You could go, there's just things there's a risk and it's a small percent. I just happen to be one of the small percent.
Wow, my goodness. Well, yeah, well, that is definitely seemingly a fluke, but
Yeah.
I'm happy that you're thriving and doing well
Me
today.
too.
Yes. And so, of course, as I mentioned, that makes you definitely an authority on people not getting stuck and moving beyond adversity. So tell me about the book and what you hope people gain from it.
The book is really, someone just asked me recently, how did you come to the book? And I said, really, the book came to me because in essence, the book I was going to talk about awakening greatness. I coach and help professional athletes and leaders around the world, and I help them step into their greatness. But what really is, I help them bounce back often. When someone approached me and they said, what is your formula? How did you do it? And how do you help others? And I thought, I just naturally know what to do. And they said, no. Everyone that works with you, there is a clear bounce back. And so when I sat and put it down on paper, it was the strategy I've been using and cultivating and creating over the years. And then that's what I put in the book because I wanted people to have the tools on how to build mental resiliency, how to bounce back, how to build emotional fortitude. So if you're in hard times, this is going to help you bounce back faster. And if you're not, because we know that life's coming with some challenges, this is going to give you the emotional foundation and mental fitness and fortitude to know what to do when things hit. And just how to build a stronger foundation. We could go get our MBA, we could learn a language, we could learn how to golf, we could learn a hobby. But who's teaching us how to build this mental fitness, this mental fortitude? I want people to be equipped now so they're ready when it comes. Or if they're in it, this is going to get you out of it faster.
Yeah, wow. No, life coping skills, that's just to your point. Yeah, we kind of teach kids a lot of stuff,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
We teach things a lot and then we go, oops, we forgot maybe to teach them that life is going to not always be pleasant. And that's why I think
Yeah.
in a way I have a little pushback against this whole like everybody gets a trophy culture.
Yeah.
Right?
Not
Because
true.
that's not how it's not true. I mean, that's a false sense of security for children to believe they get a pat on the head for showing up. You don't in real
No,
life.
you can't build grit. Cultivating grit is one of the chapters. You can't build grit if everything is always handed to you. if you never face adversity, if you never have a challenge. So, and what makes good to great, it's not so much being the smartest. It's the person, honestly, that has the mental resiliency and the fortitude to keep going, staying consistent, staying disciplined at their craft. But that comes with staying gritty, because you're going to have to endure hard times. If everyone is always removing the boulder out of your way, how do you know how to get stronger?
And then even in that same vein, not to be literal
Yeah.
with the whole trophy
Yeah.
thing, but I have a good friend who's a fitness guru and martial artist, and he's got these two lovely daughters. And he was talking about wanting to teach them self-defense,
Okay.
because he goes to a gym where there are kids doing self-defense. And so the kids are doing like karate or
Mm-hmm.
whatever they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the parents began to complain because the kids were needed to have more mats when
Oh.
they crashed on the, which,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
maybe. Um, but there was a point where they kept saying they need more mats. They need more mats. And he's like, there was a point where the kids were like on like 5 feet mattresses. And he was like, part of this training is a kid
Yeah.
has to know how to also have an
Right.
impact to the body, to fall, to get hit. This is not going to do them any good in the real world if we put like a 50-foot inch crash mat under them while they're, so it was a very similar thing. Like
Yes.
we can almost overprotect in a way our
Oh,
society.
and if you look at an eagle, it pushes the baby eagle out of the nest. Like, go fly now. You need to figure this out. There's no cushion underneath that eagle. There's no comfort. It's like you're going to fly and you're going to soar and you're going to do it on your own. And it's by doing, it's by getting out there. So we cannot cushion everything, because then you'll never really soar.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And in that same association, I know you talk about the idea of setbacks being a positive,
Yes.
or they can be used as a positive. And in my time here doing this podcast, going on 2 years now,
Nice.
I have seen these common denominators with successful people. And I always see that there's these reoccurring things. And that is one of the most reoccurring themes that I find, which is people needing to understand that those setbacks, those mistakes, those things that you thought were so detrimental are the things that are going to prepare
Oh,
you
God.
for that resilience,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So speak to that a little bit.
First of all, I completely apologize. There is a leaf blower outside that I have no control over. So I apologize if there's a
No worries. No
I
worries.
can't
That's
change
okay.
it. But
As long as we can hear you,
yeah,
we
good.
can hear
And
you.
here's
So
the
it's
thing.
fine.
This is just an example of you've got to stay agile in all situations. Things will not be perfect. So
Right,
yeah.
right.
But
Perfect example.
adversity advances you. It really does. So you have to go through things. Adversity is the thing that's going to cultivate you to go forward. And you're right. All of the greats had something that they had to overcome. And I look at it this way. I love 30 for 30s. They're the best stories on ESPN of people that have had to overcome something. The greats, the best of the best, are people that had to endure some sort of suffering, tragedy, problem, challenge. So resiliency is probably, you cannot build it unless you are put under pressure. So when you start seeing that pressure is a privilege, that adversity advances you, and that the struggles will strengthen you, that shift in perspective makes you, when things happen, no, you're not going to love it, but you're going to go, oh, this is growing me. It's like the player at the game who's like, give me that buzzer beater shot. Like, I want it to take it. If I miss it, it's on me, but I'm going to try, because they put themselves enough times in a situation where by failing enough times, they succeed, because they don't look at it as failure as failure. They look at it as a lesson. So it's really all of this, and resiliency and grit and mental fortitude is testing yourself in these situations so that when it comes, you know how to handle it.
Yes, and then you want to also be able to say you made an attempt, you tried something,
Yeah.
right? Because the alternative is like, well, I don't want to do that because I'm afraid. Fear is a big factor that stops people.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you would just give it a shot and make, you may fail, you may not make it, but
Try again.
I would rather have tried than not.
Yes, there's an expression. You should want to say, I'm so glad I did, rather than I wished I had.
I love that. Yeah. And I tell you, and people who are watching and listening, think about this like I do. I literally go into situations now and I think of that. I think of myself as a little old man, hopefully still with all this hair,
Oh, yes,
hopefully.
because it looks good.
Thank you. Little old man with a big afro.
Mhm.
And I'm going to be like saying to myself, I wish I had done XYZ. And I don't want
No,
that. I don't want to be that little old
no,
man having those thoughts because we cannot get this time back.
no. God, listen, I just lost my mom and my dad, who I love so much, but I gave both of their eulogies. And I said to everyone, you realize someone's going to be telling back your story? Make it a good one. And make it one that it's full of adventure and stories and experiences, because that's the fullness of life, and how you left people better than you found them, that you tried this. Because if you do nothing, sit in your house, never push yourself out of your comfort zone, you will not have gotten the fullness of life that was in front of you, the gift that was in front of you. So do it now. And we all have this fear of what other people think, Corey, and it's like, who are they, by the way? They, most of the time, I mean,
They have been around for so
you're
long,
like,
these they.
I mean, and I just said this at a speech. I said, it was to a university. I said, you're all waiting for they who have a blue check, by the way, to be like, oh, they
Mm,
like me. They approved of me. I was like, what? Like, they don't even know
yeah.
you. And you are striving
Hmm.
all day for the people that don't even know you, when you're not even paying attention to the people right in front of you.
Yeah,
So if
absolutely. No, that is so
be
funny. Hmm.
careful that you don't hold up your life for the days of the world that you will never even see. And honestly, that would never walk a day in your shoes. So get up and do the best you can with the gifts you have, and have fun. Get back up, try again. Life is like a painting. It's like Picasso. We don't know how the masterpiece is going to come out, but when it's done, it's going to be beautiful if you put all of that out there, painted it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, I love that because to me, it feels like it's a movie we're living in. Our lives are a beautiful play, and it's gonna have its sad scenes and its happy scenes. But I'm in this because I'm going to the end. I want to know how this thing ends up, and I'm going to do my best to make it have the ending that I want it to have. Which means I have to be present and be proactive. Go for opportunities in life. You mentioned the they. I remember when I come from a family that, as I grew up, there's a lot of, well, what will they say?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. And I would eventually I pushed back, and I, as a grown up, and I said, I got to talk about this they, because last time I checked, they did not pay my mortgage. Last time I checked, they did not pay my student loan bills.
Yes.
This elusive they, and I just was like going, I had enough of they.
So good.
And I haven't heard about they in a while now in my house, because I had to shut they down, because it's true. And we
Yes.
do. And then you added the social media component, which is that blue check mark. I mean, and then so much of what we see on social media is facade, and people are creating an existence that that's not real. And we're trying to emulate that. So it's just a mess across the board, really.
You just did something so good of an example of boundaries by saying, like, who are they, and they don't pay my mortgage. And you made it very clear by setting a boundary that I'm not going to pay attention to the they. So the they started chatter. They stopped chattering, and you got to keep living because you put the boundary in place.
And it's funny because, I think societally, we've always done that. I think women especially have. I just did a wonderful Women's History Month broadcast last night live with an
Beautiful.
author. Yeah, it was a wonderful young author named Alyssa Bassist, and she has a book called Hysterical.
Mm.
And it talked about the history. Well, we talked about the history of women being told throughout centuries that they are hysterical, but it really was just them not adhering to the social norms,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
not being subservient to men.
mm-hmm,
Women formed opinions.
mm-hmm.
They had things to say, and they were actually, because of that, men could actually put them in insane asylums because they were pushing back against what was considered normal for women. So it was a really dark, strange
Wow.
history for women. But I think today that's why women also, I think, so greatly have to deal with the what are people thinking of
Mm-hmm.
me? I'm
Yep.
not using my voice,
Yes.
and so
Yes.
it's a multi-tiered
Yeah.
issue.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was wondering also, when it comes to, when you, particularly in the sports world, I mean, is that sort of like accidental? You fell into the sports world initially, or were you a sports girl and you're like, that's the area I'm going to go into my practice?
Oh, I love this question, because just like I said, the book came to me, so did sports come to me. And I really believe in life, you'll attract the things that are meant for you by standing in what you are gifted in and called in and doing well in, you don't have to force it. So I grew up very much in sports. I mean, my father, we watched every football game under the sun in the New York Giants. We were in the East Coast. We would rewatch film. He taped it. We'd rewatch it on Wednesdays. I mean, this is the household I was in. And he would break down film. And then we would cut out like articles of basketball and break down the stats and things like that. I played sports, but my point was I never said, oh, I'm going to be a therapist in sports. I'm going to be a mental skills coach for athletes and even in leadership. What happened was, after building my craft, helping people in the hospital with traumatic brain injury, stroke, spinal cord, helping them all on their mindset, neuro. I then went back to school for business, ran businesses, but leadership is all how you help motivate people, move them forward to a vision. So in 2008, when I started my own practice, I left everything I knew, so to speak, in traditional sense, but I was still doing what I know. And I started speaking for free and talking on mindset in 2008. Now, let me explain. People were not talking about mental health, mental skills, mindset, the mental edge in 2008 at all. But there was a recession and people were giving up. And I was going, hold up. Just because you lost your job or got laid off or the market took a tank on your money doesn't mean that life is over. It's just in your perspective. And it really was a calling at that point that I was like, I have got to go help people. My family's like, wait a minute, you're going to leave a very lucrative career to start a business in the middle of a recession? I said, yep. And I was like, because I have to help people. I mean, I wanted to do it in a way. It was like Elon Musk saying, we're going to have self-driving cars back then.
Right.
And
Right.
I was like, if
right.
you
They're
shift,
like, yeah, sure.
if you shift your mindset and you start working on mental fitness and you start working on how you show up, your EQ in a different way, life is going to get better. And what happened is, over time, it started attracting the people that are in, honestly, an optimizing mindset that want to keep getting better. And that's what brought athletes to my world. And then teams, and then owners of teams would call, and agents, and same in business, CEOs, founders of companies. They were like, the good to great are the people that want to keep growing. And they say, hey, we all know we need coaching in this world. We need that person that's going to do what we can't necessarily do ourselves, to sometimes give us clarity and help us see the way. And that's what happened. The greats, or the people that wanted to get better, were going, I know I could be better. Something here is limiting me, or I got to find that's going to get me to that next level. Will you help me?
Yeah. Well, we're really big on the growth mindset.
Yes.
Is how we address that,
Yes.
because it means that you're accepting that you are never done learning.
Yes.
And as great as you think you are, you can always be greater.
Yes.
And do more. And so I think that's the place where people don't really allow themselves to go, because I think we get complacent when we think, okay, well, I've done enough.
Sure.
This is good
Yeah.
enough. And for some, it might be.
Yeah.
That's fine.
That's fine.
But I think you're right. But other people are like, no, I think there's more for me. And they sort of need someone to help them to ignite that thing.
Yes.
And that's tied right to, one of your other talking points. That's tied to discovering your why power.
Oh, definitely.
Right?
Yes.
Because the story you just shared was like, I'm not really going out of my way to try to do something that I don't know.
That's right.
Or conquer something that I have no
credentials,
information, right? No credentials in or inclination for.
Right.
I'm going to really focus on what I know and be the best at that. And then the rest will come.
Yes, absolutely. And here's the thing. When you are driven by your why you get up every day. And here, I want to explain that. When you write down, if you're listening to this, write down your gifts and talents, write the things that you are it just comes natural, or that other people are going, this is what you're really good at. Write this all down, because this is your scouting card. This is what I call your confidence card in the book. That's your fundamental hardwiring. When you look at that and you say, okay, where in the world who needs this gift? Let me go out there. Let me keep working on this craft. And then it's going to attract the people that need this. It's like creating a product that people need. You're the product. Just keep working on that skill, and people are going to go, oh, you are the solution to my challenge. I need that. I need you. And you will start living more in your flow. It's your why. It's why you get up. And you start to realize we didn't come to this world to just become gluttonous, to have everything all the time
Right, right,
for us.
right.
Like, no, we literally didn't come here to, if you are blessed, it's not about things. If you're blessed with things, wonderful, but that's not your purpose. Your purpose is to take the gift you have and share it with the world. People need you, they need what you have. So when you start waking up to that, you're like, I have a reason to be here.
I love that because it does make you remember, like, it's not about just yourself. This experience is not just about you. And on that same note, I tell people who are really having these long bouts of what we would say bad luck is that, you weren't put here either to just have a miserable time. Things will pass. You'll get through it, and that's why I love another one of the things you discuss is creating your perfect comeback environment or
Yes.
the comeback environment, which when I hear that, it makes me think of first thing I thought of was, and that may mean sometimes eliminating people,
Yes.
negative
Yes.
things. So share what share what you mean
Ooh,
by that.
I get, yes, exactly. Because listen, your environment is the space, the place, the people, the thoughts around you. It's all sensory, by the way. So it's smells, taste, touch, the things you listen to. We're experiential beings. Well, if I just said we're experiential beings and your senses, one of them is sound, okay? If the people around you are negative and chatter and pulling you down, you have to eliminate that out of your environment because it is literally pulling you down rather than propelling you forward. So a comeback has to be where everything around you is ready to propel you forward. I don't care if you're in a small space. Like right now, I'm looking around my office. There's books, there's quotes, it doesn't matter how small or big, but does it inspire you? Do the people around you inspire you? Are they wanting the best for you? This goes for your thoughts. Are your thoughts the way you think? And that gets affected by the people around you, the things you're listening to, like listening to Motivational Mondays. It's going to be I hope it's part of your comeback environment because what you listen to also propels you forward or pulls you back. So start taking inventory. List the people that you're on a day to day basis around you and start saying, like, is this someone I need to eliminate? And that doesn't, listen, this has nothing to do with hate. This is saying, you are trying to be the best version of yourself and you have to stay healthy. That's your mental health. If someone is toxic for you, you love them from a distance, but they don't have to be in your everyday space. That's proper boundaries. That's not being mean. That is taking, honestly, healthcare precaution.
No, it's very true.
Yes.
No, it's so true. And I mean, I think that's a great point. Like, just because you say someone, you don't want someone in your life,
Yes.
like predominantly all
That's
the
right.
time, doesn't mean that you have to be mean to them
No.
or, just a little separation because they're feeding you
That's
negativity and
right.
it's impacting you in a negative
Yes.
way.
Yes. Yes. And so one more thing about environment, what we see. So again, the sense of what we see, well, social media. Obviously algorithms pick up what you keep looking at. Your explore page really is a determination of what you keep looking at because it's feeding it to you. So look at things that are fulfilling. So use social for good. We all know people are going to be on it. Look at people, look at things that are inspiring, that help fuel your mind, that help you propel forward so that when you're on it, it's working for you, not against you. If something is not serving you well that you're looking at, honestly, hide it. Hit that little thing and go hide this account so that it doesn't tempt you. It doesn't, literally, you have to be in control of your environment. You can't control everything, but you could sugar control your environment around you. And I take responsibility of that because you will start waking up feeling better because you're starting to put boundaries around your environment and everything around it is fueling you. It's like literally a source giving you exactly what you need. You have to start with controlling it.
Okay, Coach Dar, let me just tell you, I so needed to hear that because I'm very politically vocal.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always constructive in my
Yeah.
debates and try to be
Yeah.
factual, but Twitter, for example, can be a place that can get a little nutty.
Yes.
And it didn't even well, I know how algorithms work, but it didn't even occur to me until maybe like 6 months ago when I really physically understood that it was feeding
Yes.
me everything that I don't like
Yes.
because I respond to all the things I don't like. I have something to say about all the things I don't
Yes.
like, whether it be political or
Mm-hmm.
social. And then it dawned on me that the side that said suggested accounts for you to follow were all the people that I can't stand.
Yes.
And I thought, oh my gosh, this entire time, like when the light went
Yes.
off, I said, oh my gosh, this whole time I've been manipulated
Yes.
to just sit there and fight
Mm-hmm.
and argue.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is something that I just became really conscious of.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that you said
Mm-hmm.
that, because I'm grappling,
Yeah.
like, do I want to just like get rid of social
Yeah.
media accounts,
Yeah.
some of them, because of that very thing,
Or,
and reclaim my
and
time,
that's
you know?
remember, it wasn't intended this way, but it's grown to this way, that they truly want you to stay in that mindset where you're it just addictively want to respond. It's like someone who knows exactly how to push your buttons and trigger you. That's what it
Right,
does.
right.
Yeah.
And I'm going to them to
Yeah,
do it.
and they're
It's the
like,
most psychotic
we
thing.
got him. We got him. He's back. And
Yeah.
so your user time goes up. It benefits the more feedback. So that's why this is so good, because it's such a revelation. I hope a lot of people are getting. Use it to fuel you, not hurt you. And it's like a drug. You have to be careful of this substance. So if you need to get rid of it for a little bit and do a detox, do it. Do it. But let it fuel you.
Wonderful words of wisdom from Coach Dar. And thank you so much. I feel like I can go like run a marathon now after
Yes,
talking to you.
that's the
So,
goal.
I mean, really, no, it's wonderful. It's a great conversation. And I feel it's an energizing conversation, because it,
Thank
it
you.
gives me and hopefully people watching optimism. So, thank you so much for being here today with us on Motivational Mondays. We really appreciate
I'm
it.
honored you had me on. So thank you.